All right, I want to talk about sections 8.18 and 8.19, and it's the end of our chapter 8. But I don't really like the sections in the book, so I found some alternative worksheets that we're going to do instead. And instead of doing notes, typically what I want to do is kind of do like the first problem on each of the pages, just so you can kind of see what this looks like and what's going on. Okay, but before we do that, though, I just want to remind you, we do have those transformations. And we have the three kinds, remember? We have reflections. And if I draw that quick, that's probably a bad example because you can't see it actually reflect. Better example might be something like this. We also have translations. And if I have a shape like this, all it does is move. And then I have rotations. And if I have a shape like this with a dot, and I rotate it, I could have this shape with a dot down there. That's pretty much it. Now, let's take a look at some of the problems that we're going to be working on. This is the first page. And all it's going to do is ask, choose the correct image that shows the transformation of each figure. So we're going to reflect this. So which of these three shows that this has been reflected over something? Well, if I were to draw like a little line here or here, and I were to reflect it over and reflect it over this way, I can see that here it would look like this, and here it would look like this, with the dot there and the dot there. And do I see any of those, of either of these? I do. I see this one here. So that one is definitely A, and you're going to do the same thing for the rest of those problems. This one says, what will be the new position of the given point after reflection across the x-axis? Oh, okay. So this time we're going to reflect, and it's going to give us the line that we're going to use. And here, the line that we're going to use is the the y-axis. So that is going to be this line. So if I'm going to reflect this over, the easiest way for me to do that is just count 1, 2, got to the line. 1, 2, and it's going to be right here. So then I'm just going to look and see which of these is that. Yeah, it's definitely that one. That's the one where it has the same as I kind of figured it out. And you just kind of do the rest that way. This one says, what will be the new position of the point 3, -5 after a reflection across the y-axis? Oh man, this one doesn't give me a picture. So what I can do is I can try to visualize it in my head and do it, which is hard, or I can just draw a picture quick, and that's going to make it much easier. So I'm going to make my little picture. I have 3, 1, 2, 3, -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's my point, right? Because this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. The first point refers to my x's, and my second point refers to my y. So again, I'm going to be reflecting over this y-axis here. So I'm going to count the direction, the amount that I have to my y, and then I'm going to keep going. So in this case, it's 3 over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm actually going to end this point here. Notice though that my second point, this y direction, doesn't change at all. So I'm definitely going to have a -5. And my first number is going to change. And it's going to go 1, 2, 3. And it's going to be at -3 now. Because where I was at 3 before, I've flipped across and now I get to go to the -3. So my new point is -3, -5 after my transformation. And I do see that up here in my answers. So I'm good to go. I recommend doing some drawings or even on a separate piece of paper or on the back of your paper, but it's much more difficult to do it in your head. This one's kind of easy. All we're going to do is recognize how each shape has transformed. Write translation, reflection, or rotation. Okay, on this one, well, it started here and it moved over. It didn't flip over anything and didn't rotate. So I'm just going to write translation. Easy enough. And these are going to be only one of the movements. So choose whichever one fits the best. Okay. This one has a new thing that I want to show you about. Number 1 says, graph the image of each shape after the given transformation. Reflect across the line y equals 3. Y equals 3, what does that mean? Well, we have not talked about this yet, but you're going to talk about that a lot more in 8th grade. But y equals 3 is a line, I could say. And in fact, everywhere that y equals 3, one place is here, 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 here. And my y equals 3 line looks like this, because I can then connect all these points. So what I'm going to do to reflect and draw this again is I'm just going to copy each of these lines over, or each of the points, and put them on the other side. So I'm going to take my E. E's only one away, and my new E is going to be right here. And the way that I write this is I'm going to put E prime. I put a little apostrophe after it to show that it's not the same as the old E, it's a new E. I'm going to do the same with my D. D prime, these connect. I have my F over here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. F prime. I have my A. A looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my A prime. B prime is just 2 over from there. B prime and C prime is 3. 1, 2, 3. C prime. And now I can connect my shape. And I have my reflected shape from one side back to the other. And you'll be doing the same thing on all of these. Now notice number 2, we're going to be doing a counterclockwise rotation. So you're going to take this and you're going to rotate it around. Let me show you how you do that in this case. So I would flip it all across the x-axis. So in this case, you can see that I could draw a line through to find its new spot. And my new R is going to be right there, as though I kind of spun it around. And this can get a little bit tricky. Here, my R is here, my S is here, and I'm going to kind of, almost like I cut out this quadrant right here, and then I flipped it, and then I flipped it again. So now my S prime is going to be, let's see, if I flip it down here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's going to be 1 away, so it's going to be down there. And if I flip it again, it's going to be kind of over here. Here's my S prime. Connects. My T prime's just 1 away. Then 2 like that for my U prime. Then 3 for my V. V prime. W prime. And R prime. So notice that it isn't reflected exactly like I was doing before, but instead this time I flip it around to get to my new shape. Now I did give you 2 questions for this one because this one's a little bit different and I wanted to show it to you. But this is the idea, and you still have 6 more that you get to draw, so it's going to work out just fine. Lastly, this is the last page that I'm giving you, and in this one, you are going to be writing the rule that you're going to be doing. So in this case, we start with this shape, and we end with this shape. And I can tell that this is the starting shape because you can see the little prime markers in here, right? And I can see, what did I do to get to this new shape? Well, let's see. I definitely didn't translate it, because if I translated it, it would look exactly the same. It wouldn't have flipped. Question is it reflected or is it rotated? Well, if I were to do a reflection, it would have to be a reflection like this probably. And I can see that it doesn't seem to quite line up. So for me, this looks really close to a rotation. So if I rotate it and then rotate it back, let's see, it's kind of like a weird little shape this way, and it flips, and it flips. And I think that does work. So I'm going to say this one is a rotation. And it's halfway around the circle, not a full circle. So a full circle would be 360 degrees. So a rotation halfway would be 180 degrees. And then I need to specify what it rotates around as well. And here it's rotating around, rotation 100 degrees, around the origin. And remember, the origin is 0, 0. And that's what is going to be my rotation for my main problem right here. And you're going to figure out the rest of these, and it's going to be either a translation, rotation, or translation, rotation, or reflection. All right? Good luck. Try not to focus on these too much. I want you to do your testing as well. But this will put us through the end of Chapter 8 and get us ready for Chapter 9.